What a crazy day it's been. Glad I have Indie Chill to help unwind and get back in focus. If you're feeling a little overwhelmed or just want some chill vibes, check out Indie Chill to get in the zone. Click here to listen now.
It was 100 degrees as we sat beneath a willow tree. These tears didn't care, they just hung in the air and refused to fall, to fall. I knew I'd made a horrible call, and now the state line felt like a Berlin Wall. And there was no doubt about which side I was on. Cause I built you a home in my heart with rotten wood, and it's a cave from the start. Cause you can't find nothing at all if there was nothing there all along. No, you can't find nothing at all if there was nothing there all along. I braved treacherous streets and kids strung out on homemade speed, and we shared a bed in which I could not sleep at all. 'Cause at night, the sun in the tree made the skyline look like crooked teeth in the mouth of a man who was devouring a spoon. You're so cute when you're slurring your speech, but they're closing the bar and they want us to leave. And we can't find nothing at all if there was nothing there all along. No, you can't find nothing at all if there was nothing there all along. I'm a war of head versus heart. It's always this way. My head is weak, my heart always speaks before the morning will say. And you can't find nothing at all if there was nothing there all along. No, you can't find nothing at all if there was nothing there. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We've got 22, so we're missing a couple here. So I'm trying to make sure that these people get in the room before we get going. Hoping they had a nice weekend. Took advantage of the wonderful weather. Spent some time outside. Just want to remind you guys, if you could, don't unmute, but make sure your video's on if you can, if it's possible. And then please put your first and last name in the participant section so that I know when I take attendance using that who's here. So 24 looks like what we're going to have today. So going to go ahead and take over and tell you about what's going on for today. So we got 25 now. Oh, they're still coming. All right. So again, each week's new, and you guys took notes over chapter 12 over the weekend. And so hopefully you've got those organized, ready to go. Before we start our notes quiz, the activity that we're going to do today is a different skill that we haven't talked about yet. So I'm going to show you the way to do it that I would like you to do it. And that's go to modules
Go down to chapters 10 through 13, and you're going to find for today 831, changing continuity over time. Should be down here. There we go. So this is a skill that we're going to work on today. It's called CCOT, or what it refers to is change in continuity over time. And so it's a fancy way of saying how did something change and how did something stay the same over an extended period of time. Okay? So it's kind of like you, maybe since you were 5 to age 14, you had the same eye color, but you grew 4 or 5 inches. Okay, so in some way you stayed the same, and in other ways you changed. Okay, if you're on your phone and you're distracted right now, I need you to really pay attention. I can see some people just doing other things. Okay, that's not going to be helpful, and then this exercise won't help you on the AP exam. Okay, so please listen here. All right, so the change in continuity over time so that you have information to use. We're going to focus on information from last week. Okay, and so you're going to be doing this after your quiz. Okay. All right. It says, using the information from last week, formulate a thesis statement for the following prompt. And the prompt is, describe the changes and continuities in Western Europe from the time period of 600 CE to 1450 CE. So changes and continuities means that you're going to be looking for 3 things to talk about in your essay. Okay, and we haven't really done the thesis formation yet, but this is what we're going to do. And you're going to be looking, this essay would have an introduction, 3 body paragraphs, and a conclusion. Your 3 body paragraphs would come directly from your thesis, and they are your changes and continuities. Okay? And so I've put down some very easy rules to follow as you formulate your thesis statement. The first one is you need to make sure you mention change in continuity. Okay? Don't pick how 3 things changed during this time period. What it's asking you to do is to describe how things changed and how things stayed the same. Okay? If the essay was just describe the changes, then you would just describe the changes. But the thing about CCOT is it's change and continuity. Continuity is how it stays the same. Okay? So please don't get that mixed up. The ratio then that you should follow in your thesis statement should be a 2-to-1 ratio, meaning you should have 2 changes and 1 similarity, or 1 change and 2 similarities. Okay? 2-to-1 ratio. And I'm going to say that, so that means you don't just pick out 3 things that stay the same or 3 things that changed. Okay? When you use the 2-to-1 ratio, you're basically making an argument, which is what a historian and what someone who's writing an essay does anyways, is they're arguing from their perspective that this is what changed and this is what stayed the same. And by using a 2-to-1 ratio, you're saying there was more change compared to the continuity, or there was more continuity and less change. Okay, 2-to-1 ratio. In your thesis statement, make sure you mention what you are staying, stay the same, and what changed specifically. So maybe I would use, for example, around the time period 600, the Catholic Church was not very strong, but by the time near the end of 1450, the Catholic Church was the dominant religious force and a political force in Western Europe. Okay, so that would be a change. Make sure then you include your time period, and the time period is always right here in the prompt. Okay, you do that so you stay focused in your thesis, and then in your essay you stay focused. Now, if something's a couple years outside of this, like 1453, Constantinople fell, that's okay. It's circa or around those years. It doesn't have to be exact. Okay, and then I said write the geographical location. So in your thesis statement, when you start it, you will write continuities and changes in Western Europe from the time period of 600 CE to 1450 were, and then you go into 1, 2, and 3. Okay. Your 2 changes and 1 similarity, or your 2 similarities and 1 change. Okay. So that was, again, this is what I want you to do after you take your quiz. Formulating a thesis statement is something that we're trying to work towards, obviously, and then this is called skills work because we've already worked on comparisons, and you guys worked on in the last 2 Mondays, and then you're doing a good job learning to use direct comparisons in the theme work that we're doing on Thursdays also. So adding to the cake here, adding to the toolbox, is now the opportunity to use change in continuity over time, CCOT. Okay. So I'm going to let you guys take a crack at this again after you are done. You have to post in order to see your peers, what they put on here, but I would encourage you to go back through and look at your peers' thesis statements, see if they follow the rules. You don't have to, but maybe tell people they did a nice job if someone didn't, had a particularly fluid thesis that historically was accurate and matched the 2-to-1 ratio. Okay. The other thing is for your quiz, it's mostly true false. I don't think it's going to take you all that long. Okay. Obviously, you can use all the materials that you have in front of you because I can't mandate. There's no way for me to police this. So I hope you read and took notes. And it's chapter 12 notes quiz. It's under modules. And it is all the way down here near the bottom. Okay. Where it says chapter 12 notes quiz. Okay. Before I get started, before you get started, does anybody, when you're done, again, make sure you start working on this. You can, after you're done with your quiz, when you're working on the change in continuity over time, you can get your video off. I'm not going to babysit. I believe in independent work, and you can work on your own. I will be here for questions. Plus, I don't need you to have the video on when you're working on your change in continuity over time. That doesn't make sense. So, okay. So yeah, you're welcome to leave after you're done with your quiz. But expect that to be done by the end of the period. Okay. Right now, it looks like we've got about 35 minutes. So I think should be able to do it. Okay. If you don't finish that, make sure you get it done by this afternoon, please. All right. If you have a question, ask now. If not, let's take the notes quiz. Also, I just want to remind you, I grade off of participation for the discussions. So don't spend an hour and a half writing over it or get anxious over it, please. That's not what it's meant to be. It's meant to just have you go back and look over a time period and then say what changed and what stayed the same. Okay? All right, good luck on the quiz. I'm going to go ahead and stop the share, and I'll be here. You can either use the chat function or you can just say something out loud, okay? Hey, good people, that is the bell. So, those of you who asked questions on the chat function, thanks. I'm going to need to end class to get my next class in here. So, hope you guys have a good day. If you have any individual questions, just ask me on Remind, please. Okay? Take care, everyone.